I think it's worth talking about Dak Prescott as a whole. I didn't think he had a great game against Houston. Obviously, the offense was disappointing. I think he's been disappointing this season. Not to say he's been bad or anything like that, but, he's Pro Football Focus's 18th ranked quarterback. I think part of it is just, getting banged up. I don't know how healthy he is kind of my question. I'm sure there's plenty of excuses that are valid for why we've seen his play dip a little bit this year. But, again, this was a tough game for him. I think that's fair to say, and let's talk about why it was a bit of a tough game for him. So this play is a good example. It's going to be a zone coverage play, and you can see how it can work, right? It's a cover 3 zone, and the idea is kind of those over-the-middle routes are the ones that typically could get open. Watch as Prescott takes a snap. With the play action, the linebackers get way out of position, and linebackers are out of the area. Now, I think a defensive back does a pretty good job of getting over, so it's not like these are wide open. You could really throw to either one. I'd probably recommend him going to what his first read is here, which is just the one closest towards him, so closest towards the bottom of the screen, just because that's an easier angle. Prescott's going to make things a little bit more difficult on himself, throwing to the one more across his body, which you still could do. It gets you more yards that way, so more of a higher risk, high reward. But again, this is a tough throw, throwing across your body. And as you see, Prescott, he has to make sure he gets enough on it, ends up getting too much on it, falls incomplete there, just a bit too high. So, a missed throw. Missed throws happen. That's a high degree of difficulty play. I wonder if part of it is you're playing the Texans, so you're saying, hey, let's get some, pad my stats a little bit. Let's get some splash plays here. Just run the offense. Probably should have made the easier throw there. Again, that's kind of just something I saw this game. Like, this one's been another one where it's going to be a cover 2 zone. And again, concept on the left side of the screen with the 2 eligible receivers who were on that side of the screen, kind of simple. Houston loves to play their cover 2 zones, so you have a receiver who's going to kind of get underneath the safeties route, and then a halfback who's running sort of underneath. So both of these routes could potentially get open. Worth mentioning, it's a 3rd down. They have to get to the 50-yard line. So that's the situation. Prescott takes the snap. He is going to look down the field and, doesn't love what he sees down the field. Maybe he still could have made a throw to Michael Gallup on that side of the field, to be honest. But again, that's football. I think he also might have a touchdown on the top of the screen, but again, you could do this in football, right? You can always pause at a certain point and say, actually, this receiver was wide open. If that's not your read, that's not your read. You can't see the entire field every single, second of the play. There is just going to be an element of sometimes you make the right read, not looking somewhere, but that guy happened to get open. Like, that's football. That being said, Prescott is going to eventually just look to his halfback, Tony Pollard. Could this get open and get, not just open, but get to the 50-yard line? Sure, it could, right? It's possible. I don't know if it's a great chance, but there's a chance it can work out. Maybe Pollard has to make a move, but still, Pollard's definitely capable of doing that. And who knows, if you're a yard short, maybe you go for it there. So at least you have that option to do it. So, making this throw is not the worst idea in the world. However, Prescott's throw here is it's a low throw, and it was caught, but they weren't able to get as many yards as they could have because Pollard kind of had to just fall down there. If he ran forward, it's close to a first down. I don't know if it is, I don't know if it isn't, but you're getting close to the first down. And again, just kind of a missed throw in a key spot there. Couple of those can be sometimes the difference, and luckily it wasn't the difference in this because you're playing the Texans, but in other games could be the difference. Another part is I thought that, Houston played well. Something like this is a good example of Houston playing well, where, again, I know people like to say it's just the Texans. Texans defense has been scrappy this year. Their secondary has made plays, been inconsistent, but it's made plays, and it made plays in this one, where, again, on paper, you see how this play concept works. Cover 2 zone, getting a receiver right underneath the safety. Watch as Prescott takes the snap. He is going to look down the field, and there's a window here, right? It's not wide open, but if you get the ball there quick enough, there's a chance it can work out. But watch this just great break by that Houston safety. I couldn't quite make out the number, but that's a great defensive play to be able to come in and knock it away. Like, listen, Houston still has NFL players capable of making good plays. So that's another element is we like to say, how do you only barely beat Houston? A win is a win. It's hard to get wins in the NFL. But B, Houston made some plays as well. You have to give credit to the defense sometimes. And stuff like this, I think Prescott maybe was in some situations he didn't think he would be in, and that created some issues. Like, for example, something like, on this play, again, zone coverage, have a receiver trying to get into a gap in coverage. This stuff is pretty simple. Prescott takes the snap, and he's going to look towards his right. And right here, you have a Houston player who is over the middle of the field. He's definitely in the throwing lane, doing a good job of passing off the Dallas player who he was supposed to follow. At least the offense designed it that he would follow a different Dallas player, and that's what would allow the guy I've circled in yellow to get open. But he's reading this concept well. He's in position, and Prescott just didn't notice it. Again, this is football. It happens, but, I'm not saying that this means that Prescott sucks or anything like that. I think sometimes when I make a video, people think I mean more than I actually mean. All I'm saying is that Prescott had a bad game. This is a bad play, no matter how you slice it. This is a throw that he shouldn't have made. He should have made the read. But, it is a difficult play, and again, good defense as well. All of that stuff is true. Prescott makes this throw. It could have been intercepted, and instead gets tipped up, but then intercepted, so it still ends up being the interception, just in kind of a weirder way than maybe you would have thought originally. So, again, it's a bad play by Prescott. It is. I'm not going to sit here and say Prescott sucks because he made this throw. The other interception was kind of just, he got hit as he's thrown. I don't really blame him for that one really at all, unless you want to say he should have thrown it earlier. Maybe he could have done that. But other than that, that's my only nitpick there. My only nitpick here, probably should have noticed it a little bit earlier, but it's also a great defensive play. So, if that was his only mistake, if this was kind of the only couple mistakes he made, I wouldn't even be criticizing him too much. But there were some other mistakes, and there was kind of a few of these, which is why I'm being more critical of his performance in this one. So now let's go over here. So this is going to be a zone coverage play. You see how it can work out. It's the route that I've circled the end of it in white. Something that can work. Watch. Prescott takes a snap. He's going to look down the field, and there's a window, but it's a tight window. And that's something that, it's a difficult play, and that's maybe one thing that could perhaps be a concern with the Dallas Cowboys, is that they're not getting guys open enough against the Houston Texans. Maybe you want to say that, but still, it's also worth mentioning if you are a Prescott hater, which I feel like I've always kind of been on the fence about Prescott. I like Prescott. I don't know if I like that contract kind of thing. That's how I felt about Prescott. But that's not to say he's not a bad player. And, again, if you're getting paid this much and you want to win a Super Bowl, the reality is, come postseason time, you are going to have to make these throws. You're going to have to get it above the linebackers over the middle and probably make your receiver have to make a tough catch would be the ideal scenario. Instead, as you see, Prescott's throw does get tipped up, could have been intercepted as well. Just, again, great defensive play, right? Like, that's very true. But when you're playing NFL defenses, they're going to make good defensive plays. You have to find ways to still get the ball down the field. Really, looked like his receiver in that play didn't even jump up, when he was ready. It looked like he was going to be able to catch it almost at his chest area. You want to make him have to go up to make the grab. Really, that's what you have to do in that situation if you're going to make the throw. You can also not make that throw, but it's third down. You want to try to get the ball down the field, which I understand. But, that could have very well been intercepted. So just a few mistakes, a few things he has to clean up. I think, I would suspect he will. I'm not like long-term concerned or anything like that from Prescott, but this is definitely some stuff that I saw when I watched tape. And, I don't think this has been his best year. I think that's fair to say, but that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.